Here.
Mr. Dobbs,
Here.
Mr. Nichols, Mr. O'Connell.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Pelletier,
Here.
Ms. Ferguson.
Here.
We're also joined by Town Council Liaison, David Barry, Mark Thomas, the Chamber Liaison, Yetta Auger, President of the Cheshire Chamber of Commerce, and Arnett Talbot, Assistant Town Manager, and Dawn Kite, of course, the Recording Secretary. You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you, Jerry. I guess we should do the Pledge of Allegiance. Jerry, have you
Okay.
got the flag?
I do. Mhm.
Very good. Pledge allegiance
To
to the flag
Flag.
of the
United
United States of
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
which is
one nation, under God,
nation,
indivisible,
Indivisible.
with liberty and justice.
liberty, and justice for all.
Well, since we've got a couple of minutes, why don't we go to the election of officers? Dave, do you have a report on that?
Well, I talked with the current officers, and I'd like to make a motion that we reelect the current slate of officers, Bill Stanley as chairman, Derek Gronko as vice chairman, and Don Dobbs as secretary.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. I'll forego the acceptance speech. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting from March. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? Do we get a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, they pass. Communications, Jerry, can you talk about
Yeah,
that?
because this TIF started with this commission a few years back, and it really started with the Arnett Mulder report. I just wanted to put the minutes of the TIF Management Committee meeting on the agenda to keep you in the loop. There was a meeting. It was more of a refresher meeting on March 31st, and Mr. Gromko, Mr. Dobbs sit on that committee along with Tim Slocum and I do, the planner and the assessor, and also the president of Marion Manufacturing, and just a great group of people. And so we're off and running. We're waiting on an application now. I don't know when we're going to see it,
Yeah,
but we are expecting to see an application. But Camoin was hired by the town manager to help us with the first application for the CEA, which is a great move. And they were on the meeting. So, we're just waiting on an application right now. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. So we get the application, we'll get to work. Okay.
there's no indication, I mean, when you held that meeting a while back, and at the time you thought it would be in the next couple of weeks, and it still hasn't showed up. Does that indicate you think there's anything going on, or just taking them a while?
No, I think they're just getting the pieces together. There are a lot of moving parts, especially to the first one and to this project, and which would really kick off some development in the interchange zone, or at least to begin it.
Mhm.
And the CEA, this particular CEA is important to the town to get it right, kind of like our first tax incentive, our first tax assessment agreement. And that's why Sean Kimball, that is, brought on Camoin. It's a wise decision, and I'm looking forward to working with this committee. It's a really good committee.
Great.
President of Manufacturing is Doug Johnson, great guy, and a great addition to that committee.
It looks like a good group, Jerry. I think it'll go well. All right. So I'm still waiting on Enzo. How about speakers for future meetings, Jerry? It looked like you have somebody lined up for
Yeah.
May.
Yeah, if I could get back to Enzo just for a minute.
Yeah.
I stopped up there about a week and a half ago and talked to Enzo yesterday. They're doing a really nice job in there. The kitchen is new. There's a big bar, 200 bottle wine room. All the stucco is new. Everything is new. There's nothing painted over. And
Was it
they're
pretty
gonna
empty
do an
when they took it over,
they're going
Jerry?
to do an outdoor patio. He wants to get open by May 15th, but he's working 7 days a week. He and his group are working 7 days a week to open. So it's going to be a really good addition to the business community here. So I'm sure they'll join the chamber.
Yeah.
Good news for us, for the town, that is that there's a meeting room back there, and we don't have really any large
Oh.
meeting rooms. You know,
How big is
so
it?
7,000. The building itself is 7,580 square feet.
No, the meeting room. Do you think you put 15, 20 people
Oh.
in there?
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Oh, that'd be nice. Be very nice. And was that pretty
There's
empty?
also,
when
believe
they
it
took
or
over, Jerry?
what's that?
Was that building pretty empty when they took it over? Did they have to put everything into it, or?
Building the kitchen, and wasn't in good shape. They pretty much just redid the whole thing, and Perfectly Prepared was in there for a while, and
Right.
they used the kitchen. They operated out of the back, and then he had that grab and go section in front.
Yeah.
And they actually cleaned it up a bit, but these guys are doing a complete overhaul, and it's going to look good in there.
Where are they going to put
Believe it
the
or not,
patio?
there's while we're on restaurants, there's interest in a Waverly restaurant right now too. You could be
Oh, there is?
surprised to it. It'd be really good if it came to town.
Okay. Is that somebody local or a large, somebody? a chain?
In the area, in the area, New Haven based. Yeah,
Okay,
looking to
good.
come up here.
Excellent.
Mhm.
All right. Tell us about, I think I'm trying to remember who you've got lined up for May, for the meeting in May.
Well, Arnett put me in touch with the chairman of the School Modernization
Right.
Committee, Chuck Neth, NETH, and I reached out to him, and I haven't heard back from him for a confirmation, but this matter is in the hands of the Cheshire Town Council now. But I thought it'd be good to hear from Mr. Neth about their work and the final report and their recommendation. This commission has always weighed in on important topics one way or the other. And you may want to weigh in again if there's a proposal put before the voters. So for starters, if you don't mind, let's hear from Chuck Neth and take it from there.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Good. Hopefully we can pull it together. You want to talk about open for business activities, Jerry?
Yeah, and feel free to chime in. Yen and I have been pretty much joined at the hip since the beginning of the pandemic, and we've done a lot in conjunction with this commission and the chamber board, to be honest with you. And now we're in the recovery period, and I'm looking for new ideas. Maybe some fresh approaches. So if we don't come up with anything today, fine. But if you do think of something, get in touch with me, or if you want to go through the chamber, you're a chamber member, fine, because Yed and I are always talking. But I want to keep the momentum going. We did a lot, the Shop Local, Eat Local campaign, a lot with the restaurants. We were all at ads, we just kept it in front of the people of Cheshire just to patronize your local businesses. And we want to keep that going because, it's going to take them a while to come back. The governor's move to, continue outdoor dining is a step in the right direction for some of the restaurants here. But if you think anything, I'd like to hear from you because I'm looking for additional ideas to follow up on.
Okay.
If I can chime in, Jerry, I think that this time of year too, a lot of people sometimes go to the shoreline, as it starts to get nice to eat. And we have those eat local signs, and maybe we should think about putting those signs out again, just to remind everybody that we still need their help.
Yeah, we might want to do something on the web and elsewhere just to remind people and
Right.
put the signs out. I think I pulled up a lot of those signs, and I believe you have them.
Yeah, I have them in my office. Yep.
We don't have to make them again. So yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Whatever it takes, to support these guys. They've gone through some hard times, and it's still not easy for them because people are coming out, but they're not coming out right now. So we just want to keep it going.
There was also a lot of people commented on how much they like what was put in our flyer that was sent to 10,000 households with all the restaurants' telephone numbers on them. They like that very much.
Yeah, and that flyer was hosted by or put in by the Economic Development Commission in the town of Cheshire.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Any other thoughts on things we could do to promote local businesses in the recovery period?
I know it's early. I know it's early, and if the neurons aren't firing yet, fine. But if you do come up with something, I'd like to hear from you, really.
Yeah, I am toying with the idea and researching on the cash mobs, how it's an influx of cash to certain businesses. But I really need to do more research, and how do you do it fairly?
What is that yet? I don't know what that is.
So what it is every week you would pick, say for an example, 1 week we say Red Owl. So you try to get 20 people that would be guaranteed to go in and spend $20. And so, and then the following week you could do, another store. The following week we could do a coffee shop. So you do the Bean, and you would go in, and everybody, you would get 20. You have to get at least 20 people to agree to go and spend some money there. And so the theory behind it is that you're creating a marketing for them too, because you're announcing where it's going to be, and you also give them an influx of cash.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You have to be careful about how you allocate.
Right. So I've contacted some other chambers, and we're talking about how you could do it fairly.
Great. Well, that sounds like a good idea, especially if you can find out who's really struggling at this point. I know some businesses are and others are not. So.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like a great idea.
We might want to think about trying to connect with Bizzuto's Media again, Yetta, and just come up with a concept and do another one video. One video.
Right.
Okay. Liaison reports. Mark,
Dave,
are
you have anything from the council?
Or yeah, Dave, you want to start with Dave Barley?
Thank you. Due to the governor's executive order allowing an extension of deadlines, the budget deadline's been extended 30 days, and now the budget deadline to adopt will be May 28th. We are looking at ways to reduce the mill rate from the recommended 1.9 or 5.5% increase through a combination of maybe some reductions in some of the proposed expenditures, as well as some of the legislature will have a more clear picture on that. But we don't intend to use a lot of the one-time revenues that are coming in from COVID through the national $1.9 trillion plan adopted on March 11th. We don't plan on using a lot of that as a bridge, because then you just have to make that up. We plan on using that for long-term type things or for legitimate COVID expenses.
Okay. Thanks, David. Mark and Yetta?
Yeah. Hi. Sure. Yeah, we're talking about how we can help businesses, and actually the CBIA with the legislative bills that have been thrown out there now, they've identified 12 recommended bills that really are not supportive of small businesses in general, and some of them are kind of outrageous. For example, one of them, it's HB 6478, which creates a presumption that an employee who contracts COVID-19 during the period of the pandemic will be presumed to have contracted it in the workplace, regardless of where the employee actually contracted COVID-19, resulting in 400% increase in benefits and partial permanent disability costs. So there's a number of things being presented in the legislature, and has the chamber approved the support of this? Do you know?
Approved the letter. IA,
The CBI?
we did, our chairman did sign it.
Okay, great. So there are a number of other chambers too that have signed on to it. So
I assume to oppose that, right?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, just check.
And some other items as well.
Similar,
Yeah, there were 12 all over the place.
okay. All right. Thank you. Any, I guess we're back to you, Jerry, to the coordinators report.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of Bone and Prime, if we go back to public, in-person meetings in June or July, that's when I'll probably bring back Enzo and see if he can
Okay.
come. All right, if you don't mind. I talked to you about tax increment financing, so we're just waiting on an application for a CEA. The state-owned land in the interchange zone, well, this has been a long haul, but we're making progress. So we're waiting on a deed from the state of Connecticut, from the land in the interchange zone, the northeast quadrant. And, once that's conveyed to the town, the clock starts ticking. We have 5 years to move that property. And I know it's at the Attorney General's office now. We're just waiting for it to come this way. So once that occurs, I'll let you know, and we'll get busy in trying to market the land. You know about this Standard & Poor's and Fitch rating. Very good news for the town, and also the recent bond sale. The town's going to save a lot of money over the lifetime of those bonds. So good job by Sean and the finance people in the town, and also the work of the commission, even bringing in things and Yetta. And so everybody has a role in this, but it's there's some substantial savings for the town. And Dave, I'm sure, appreciates, the fact that we're going to save some money too. Ball and socket arts, I want to show you something. What I have here is over 500 pages. This is a grant for ball and socket arts, and it's a grant for $1,950,000 to continue the remediation. And we sent that up to DECD on time, and it's going to be a couple weeks before they go through this grant and all the others. The grant application this year was very rigorous. It really was. So we'll wait on it and see what happens. So it would be great news if we can pull off this grant, or at least get a portion of the money to continue the remediation. The town has received 2 brownfield grants in the past, one for $400,000 for site assessment, the other for $750,000, which we successfully completed some months ago for remediation. So we're waiting on DECD, and if we hear some news, I'll get back to you about it. Counterweight Brewing is rolling. The site's been cleared, and if they haven't started construction, they're going to start construction soon. They're talking about a target date to try to open in November, but I'm not sure if they're going to make it, but that's what they're telling me. Jamie, you want to talk about Cheshire Craft? And by the way, nice picture, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
That I got caught with my paintbrushes down, basically. We're the town has been extremely cooperative and helpful in getting us open. We flew through planning and zoning, which was really got us kickstarted last summer. Had the fire marshal in here every couple of days checking to see why we aren't open yet, and we're just waiting. We're just waiting on the state. That part has been a little bit of a slow process, but hopefully, I keep saying I think we're now days away from opening, as opposed to weeks or months. And I keep checking my email for our provisional license. So when we have it, we're just going to open the doors.
Great.
Jamie, are you going to do a couple soft openings, or are you going to go full tilt? What are you going to do?
Well, and the way that it's soft in that we're not really announcing, but people stop by on a daily basis to see if we're open yet. So I think when we have the license in hand, we're just going to open the door. Susan from Chesapeake had said that they had discussed how we should handle crowd control early on the early days, which was exciting that they were thinking about us that way. And their biggest concern is if we did a big announcement of a grand opening event that in 10 days or something, we'll be opening the doors, that I think the phrase was something, like you just create a rush or a line of people, and it just wouldn't be safe to have that many people all of a sudden show up at one place at one time without a great way to control the crowds or with ticketing or something. So she'd asked or encouraged us to not announce a date and just kind of quietly open the doors and stay off of social media the first couple of days, just to avoid a mad rush to the bar. So that's kind of where we're at. So I guess I've just told you all you're going to have to drive by, because I can't post it on social the first week.
Yeah, but you have our emails, Jamie. You could just send a
Yes.
note out.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Bill, there was some news last week on a third brewery that's been trying to locate here, and this person, the partners were going to locate at the Bavano complex, but unfortunately that deal fell apart. Not to worry. I spent a lot of time on Friday, and I found 4 or 5 alternatives for Kyle Benora, and one of them I brought back from the dead, I believe, and I spent some time Sunday talking to people about it. Well, I'm going to find a home for this guy, and it's going to work out. So I'm encouraged. Not only will we have Jamie's Brewery and Counterweight, but we'll have Malpractice too. Just stay tuned, but working hard on it. We'll pull it off.
Thank you, Jerry.
There's plans have been filed for a 240,000 square foot addition to 181 West Johnson Avenue. There's nobody, an end user in mind right now. I think they just want to get the approval in the event that the end user comes along. 181 is 525,000 square feet. It's probably the first project I worked on when I came here. It was an old manufacturing facility. Textron had the site, and then they went under, and that building was supposed to be the distribution and headquarters for Bob's Stores, but that fell apart. But we've had a number of businesses in there over the years, and there's another company who's probably going to lease 130,000 square feet. They're in Meriden now. It's called Brand New, NU. They make medical equipment, and they've been doing making a lot of equipment for COVID-related products, and so they're probably going to lease that 130,000 square feet. So there's a lot of activity around that building. Element Manufacturing, 119 Element Manufacturing. These guys are going to locate their headquarters at 609 West Johnson Avenue on the 4th or 5th floor there. They're located in Thomaston now. They make specialty paint products for cars. You ought to see their product, what they do. It's some company, and they're bursting at the seams. So they took some office space in Cheshire, which is great news. Chase Bank filed plans across from Stop and Shop for a 2,042 square foot building. We're going to start working on that from the planning side. The zone text change to permit warehouse and distribution in the interchange zone is a work in progress. A draft was talked about by the Planning and Zoning Commission last week, and they had a lot of questions, and there was a lot of discussion. It's still too early to send it to the EDC, I think. Let it work its way through planning and zoning, and once that occurs, I'll send it to you, and you could decide whether you want to make a recommendation on it. Cheshire Chamber, again, I wanted to commend you and your staff for the annual meeting. And I also sent yet a letter that you have basically saying how important the chamber was during the dark days of the pandemic, and how important the chamber was to, our credit rating, not upgrades, but continuation of. So if you could share that with you. Starbucks is going up. The builder told me he has to turn over the building Starbucks in July, and they're going to attempt to be open in November. So they're moving pretty quickly.
Wow.
on that project. So there's a lot of activity in town, not only on the commercial, but also on the residential side right now. So I'll just keep you posted as things develop. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Jerry. When that state-owned land ends up in the town's lap, do you know who's going to be tasked with marketing it? Is that going to fall in your lap or somewhere else, or do we know?
I think it's going to start with me. Where it goes, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
it
was
may
wondering
be,
if it's in the, we know it's happening. I wonder if should we start interviewing brokers now and thinking about the process of how to do it, or?
no, I think we want to wait a little bit to see what we actually get.
Okay.
You know, if you don't mind, I think.
No, that's fine. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good suggestion. We could get moving pretty quickly
Okay.
on it. And, you know, eventually, I mean, the council's got to accept the land, you know, that conveyance. So
Oh,
I don't
that's-
want to get ahead of
Okay.
certainly of the Cheshire Town Council. But we'll move pretty quickly to get this thing going, and we'll see what kind of interest is there.
Yeah.
Interest there'll be in the land too.
That 119 Element Manufacturing, do they manufacture in Thomaston? They're just moving their headquarters down here?
They have some of their manufacturing and also their office there. But if I know why you're asking me that, but you might want to look them up. Their product is really nice.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? I think if we have nothing else, we're done. And hopefully Enzo can join us at a future meeting.
Yeah, I hope he's all right. I think I woke him up at 7 o'clock this morning. So
All right. Well, thank you,
thank you,
everyone.
everybody. It's good to see you. I'm sorry we have to meet by Zoom, but you know, eventually this will all be over and
Yeah.
you know, we'll get back in the saddle
Hopefully
again.
in a couple of months, we'll be back together.